Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Wednesday, November the 19th. And as we like to do once a week, we'll be chatting with our good friend Bill Katz, the editor of Urgent Agenda. Bill, a anticipated happy Thanksgiving to you. And I hope we'll chat before then, but is New York getting ready for Thanksgiving?
I don't know. Usually at this time of year, you would have a lot of Thanksgiving stories on
Right.
local television, but I think there's a sense of weirdness about New York right now. Nobody really knows what's going on.
Right.
Uh, the Democratic Party does not recognize Thanksgiving as a legitimate holiday, uh, and the Republican
At least
Party.
not the wing of the party that won the election
That's
in New
right,
York. Right. Yeah.
exactly. And the Republican Party will celebrate after the next golf game.
Right, right. That's right. No, I always, in fact, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he's not going to be able to do anything for Thanksgiving because he's not feeling well. So I recommended he's going to stay home. So I recommended to him to watch that movie, The Plymouth Adventure, as I guess as one of the many Thanksgiving movies there are. Did you remember that movie, The Plymouth Adventure, with
No,
Spencer Tracy?
no, well, that must be way back.
Way back, yeah.
Yes,
It's really it's not really so much about them getting to the new world. It's kind of the trajectory and how they got here. But it's a pretty decent movie. I mean, I wouldn't call it a great movie, but anytime Spencer Tracy is in a movie, I'll
yes, I'll
probably
watch it.
oh, why he's a good actor. But one thing that we can talk about, Bill, today is that on this day in 1863, probably about this time of the day, President Lincoln delivered his famous Gettysburg Address. And I, I always heard that that's maybe the greatest American speech ever. What do you think?
Well, that's hard to say because it was um, a brief speech, very, very brief speech, and it may certainly have been the greatest very short speech in American history, but it's hard to compare speeches and the conditions. What is wonderful about the Gettysburg Address is that when you actually look at it in a newspaper of the time, it was given virtually no attention. If you read the New York Times of the day on the day it was given, they printed the main address of the afternoon, which was by Edward Everett, I believe. I believe, and then at the end of that, they said the president delivered a few remarks, and they printed the Gettysburg Address without any recognition of how great it was. I mean, somebody must have said, "Wow, what a brilliant thing to put in so few words," but apparently nobody did.
Well, 272 words. That's what
Yes.
I just double checked. 272. And it's one of those speeches, Bill, that had had the war gone differently, meaning let's say the South had won or the country had stayed divided, North and South, and it would have never come together, maybe the speech would have gone away with
Yes.
Much of Lincoln's image also.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So I think that that the fact that the North won and the Union was saved, and that probably contributed to making the speech more popular. But had the South won the war, at least not, if we were in, if you and I were talking in the United States of America and some people were listening in the Confederate state, well, actually, Texas would have been a Confederate state.
Yes. Sure.
I would have been talking to you from one of the Confederate states, and who knows what taxes I would have had to pay to talk to you in,
Right.
in a different country. Maybe
Yes.
I would have needed a passport or something to talk to you. But anyway, it turned out well.
Well, well for the speech. Yes,
That's right.
it's financed a lot of movies along the way.
Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah, it sure did. 272 words. That's the exact number. And I think you're right. The person before spoke for a long time.
About 2.5 hours or so. He was considered a great orator, and which he was.
Right.
But he
You
sent
know,
a note to Abraham Lincoln after saying, "I wish I had I wish I could have in 2.5 hours done what you did in 2.5 minutes. He
Yeah.
recognized how great a speech it was.
What's amazing to me back then, I've seen, of course, not photos of, well, I guess they did have photos back then, not many. Most of the what I've seen is people drawing, artist drawings of the speech. But what I find fascinating is how these people were speaking in front of an audience and people could hear them. I mean, they didn't have the audio system we have now.
Yes, that's right. Well, that's a very interesting subject because I read an article just a few days ago that in that era, when major speeches were to be delivered, the people who planned the event looked very carefully at the surrounding area. There were areas, and there were experts on this subject who knew which areas carried the sound better, which had echoes, which had problems. So there was almost a science of choosing the location of a speech, if possible, for its ability to its acoustics, the way you
Yeah.
would choose a hall today.
Yeah, I mean, it's just remarkable to me. What I thought they did back then is that they had what they called repeaters, or people who would maybe every 20 rows, somebody would be repeating the speech to make sure you heard it.
That I've
Um,
never heard of.
no, I mean, that's what I was thinking they did because, I mean, if you were like 40 or 50 rows deep, I don't know how you could even understand unless they distributed the speech first. And people like they do at church, when somebody's
Yeah.
reading the sermon, people are looking at the book, and they can follow it that way. But when I grew up when I was a little boy in Cuba, my father's uncle was a huge fan of this speech, and he could read to you the speech verbatim. I mean, he just recited, and he always told us when we were little kids, he said, this is a great speech. Someday you'll appreciate how great it was. Of course, at the time, none of us thought that we would end up living in the United States. So for us, it was a great American speech, but not for me. It's more important now that I've grown up in the United States, obviously. So the speech becomes a part of my history, if you know what I mean, Bill.
Yes.
So that's interesting. Well, let's get into some of the current events. Lots of current events. And let's start with New York City, because I think something big happened here in the last 24, 48 hours in New York City. So bring us up to date.
Well, it was a big event, and it was treated as a big event, and that is that the very, very popular and respected police commissioner, Jessica Tisch, has agreed to stay on as police commissioner after an offer was received from the new mayor. Now, they had a meeting, I believe it was last week, and apparently the meeting went well. I mean, there are no real details that have come out, but Jessica Tisch is important as a name because she is highly respected as a police commissioner. He isn't just the police commissioner, probably the most respected police commissioner in the country. People have looked at her and said, "There's somebody headed for higher office." She is also from a very, very famous American family, the Tisch family. I think it was her. Was it her father who once owned CBS? A very, very wealthy family, and a family that has been involved in public service for a long time. And people have wondered what her ultimate objective is. I think I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's in her mind. Maybe she just wants to be a good police commissioner. She's very popular with the force itself and with the police officers themselves. She has done a lot for anti-crime measures in New York and a lot for them as police officers. So that is right now, at least, a big load off the new mayor's shoulders because you don't want to get in trouble with the police, and you
No.
don't and you don't want to have a bad record with the police. And I think she will be able, if she is completely sincere about this, she will be able to guide the new mayor through the whole notion of dealing with police officers because he has made some foolish statements in the past, which I suspect he now regrets about defunding the police, who was part of that racket. And we should have more psychiatrists and social workers at scenes of trouble. Maybe if you have other forces as well. And I would love to see exactly how these two get along as the new administration begins. And look, maybe she just wants to be a good police commissioner, or she wants to have this remarkable record, which she already has, plus a willingness to work with the new mayor.
Well, if she wants to be a good police commissioner, and that's good for the city right now.
Sure.
So, you can be a good police commissioner and do something great for the city because, um, I mean, the mayor elect
Oh, yes.
needs her a lot more than she probably needs him
That's right. That's right.
because
Uh,
she does.
he,
He,
she gives him, at least temporarily, a kind of protection. And because she's there and he picked her, we will see how long that lasts. It may last a week. It may last for 4 years. And I don't know if she has personally further ambitions in politics. In New York, she could probably buy the state and give it back, give it back to its people. But she's a fascinating character because she has done so well in every job she has had, and yet these were jobs in the areas where she had no experience. And in
yeah, I
police
mean,
force,
what you're saying about the police is true. The rank and file like her a lot,
yes.
which is the
Well,
real problem after De Blasio.
very much so. And she likes them, and she's done a lot for them. Let's see. She's a fascinating character who does not speak much about politics, but I have to believe that she has some ideas.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, that's good news actually out of New York. That's actually good news after, honestly, a, a period of time coming out of New York where the news hasn't been good. So maybe the fact that Mandani is willing to, what can I say? The fact that he's willing to live in the real world and accept somebody like this as police commissioner. That's I like that, and I don't live there. I assume you like it even more.
Oh
Uh,
yes, yes. I mean, look, she has developed such a strong reputation in every job she
mhm,
has held that I'm glad that she's there.
absolutely.
Maybe she and the mayor can work together and make New York a better place. It may not work out at all, but watch Jessica Tish. She
Well,
can.
at the first, let's see what the first controversy is.
Yes.
Let's see what the first controversy is, and let's see how they both react. Now, he's also going to be meeting with President Trump. I don't know when, but they're going to be
Yeah.
getting together. From what I hear, they're going to be getting together probably sometime before the first of the year, I would think,
Yeah.
and we'll see what kind of a conversation
Well,
they have.
that will be fascinating, and I suspect it would be held in the White House. Uh,
I'll
uh,
give you a preview of the meeting.
yeah. Go ahead.
I'm going to give you a little preview of the meeting.
All right.
Uh, he's going to be sitting here,
Yeah.
and President Trump's going to be sitting here, and President Trump is going to say, "Now, listen to me, Mayor elect. You don't have a lot of cards.
Yeah.
Remember that incident?"
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes.
He's going to look at the mayor elect and say, "You don't have a lot of cards."
Yeah,
Okay.
and he's going to go over it. Mm. And he's going to
So
remind the mayor of New York that the mayor of New York does not get involved in foreign policy.
that would be, yeah, J.D. Vance will remind him of that
Yeah.
because all of them will be there. And just like with Zelensky, remember
Oh
that
yes.
that day was Zelensky. But I can just see Trump sitting there, with that personality of his, looking over at Mandani and say, "Listen, Mr. Mayor elect, you don't have a lot of cards," which actually technically is true.
Yes.
He really doesn't because he doesn't have a lot of economic cards. And what can I say? Well,
And he's got
anyway,
a
I, he's got I mean, he's got the governor of the state to worry about too, right?
Oh yes, the governor of the state under New York state law can fire him. Can fire the mayor of New York, which I think is a fast. That would be a great movie, and a great sitcom also.
I think New York may be. I don't know if that's true in Texas. I'm going to have to figure that out. I know the governor of Texas can take over a city
Yeah.
if, for example, there's a breakdown in discipline or something. but I didn't know that he could. I mean, the governor of Texas, they've been taking over here in Texas. They've taken over several school districts
Yes.
and simply say, you guys aren't doing the job. We're going to take over the district. They've done that, but actually replacing the mayor, firing the mayor, I'm going to have to read the Texas Constitution and see if he's got that power. Well, we wish New York the best, of course, but there was a video, Bill, going around of some Democrats. Two on that list really, really surprised me. One was the new senator from Michigan and Senator Kelly from Arizona.
Yes.
And what they were basically saying was, well, if you're an officer, intelligence officer, you don't have to obey the law or whatever. I don't know if it's insurrection, but it's really bad taste, Bill.
Very sloppy, very
Yes.
sloppy. A surprise for both of them to get involved in something like this. I think this is either bad work on the part of their staffs, but you don't advise Americans to disobey the law except under the great American tradition of civil disobedience. And you don't tell them to disobey the law, especially where national security people are concerned. This was just poorly handled. The senator from Michigan was, I believe, I think Slotkin is her name, but I believe she was in, not if not in law enforcement,
She
in
was in CIA.
federal
She was a
CIA.
CIA
Yeah,
officer. Yeah.
and of course Kelly was a Navy officer and an astronaut.
Right.
Uh, and very surprising to see their names on something like this. And I will assume there will be some serious discussions about how they got there.
Well, I mean, I think you may be right. It may be just some bad work. I mean, I'm guessing it's some bad work from their staff or advisors, or maybe or maybe they made the same mistake as our famous Jasmine Crockett, who
Oh,
went on the House floor yesterday to say that Mitt Romney, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, all these people got money from Jeffrey Epstein. And then she was reminded, yeah, that happens to be another Jeffrey Epstein out there
oh,
who contributed to the Mitt Romney campaign
yes.
back in whenever, and George Bush whenever, not the same Jeffrey Epstein
Isn't that
that.
unbelievable?
And I'm just sitting there. How does that happen, Bill?
Well, aside from the fact that the individual who made the statement is not the brightest star in the sky, and again, poor staff work, not looking things up correctly, not making sure, doing the shoe level work of a good staffer and checking everything. I mean, you think they would. I mean, after all, she is a congresswoman. Not much of one, but she is, and I think it'll take a while for her to live this down, and I don't think she has that many friends in the press who will help her. Jasmine
No,
Crockett.
no, I don't think so either. And somebody was saying that she was lucky in one respect that she made those comments on the floor of the House because then she cannot be sued
That's right.
because if I'm Mitt Romney, well, Lee Zeldin came after her with
Yes.
good reason. Lee Zeldin even said who this guy was, Jeffrey Epstein, apparently
Yes.
a doctor, well-known doctor or whatever. But it's a little bit like the video, Bill. Some of these people are so crazy about Trump that they've lost all their common sense. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, they've lost their common sense because common sense, apparently, in the Democratic Party is not much of a virtue today. I mean, this is a party that is still making excuses for its vice presidential pick of the Biden administration, who didn't seem to understand that her main job is to be ready to be president, and I think they're still teaching her that. But the Democratic Party today, in my view, I'm not even sure it's a party anymore.
Right.
It's more of a political a division or a sector. But as a political party, it may be that they're finished. And I'm just wondering if someone is going to come forward and start a new political party, a new center left party. It would not shock me. In fact, I'm surprised it hasn't been done already.
Well, certainly the market is there, I think, because
Yes.
it's more than this. I mean, there's a story today that I read that 130 Democrats signed the letter or something in support of trans athletes competing in women's sports or whatever.
Unbelievable.
And I'm sitting there saying, it's 130 reasons why your grandfather isn't voting Democrat anymore.
That's right.
You
That's right.
know,
That's become one of those 90-10 issues where 90% of the people disagree with them and only 10% agree with them. That's not a wise move to take.
I mean, again, but this is where common sense comes in. Your staff comes to you and says, "Look at this. We need to support this in the Supreme Court." And then that's exactly what you do. You tell me you want me to take the 10% side of this issue. I mean, come on. I mean, this is crazy. But that's where the party is right
That
now,
well,
unfortunately.
they're a crazy party. I don't know what their national convention is going to be like,
I
but
can't wait.
I can't wait either. I think it's just going to be a pile of jokes because everyone getting up there is going to have to kowtow to the new group, which is people who never heard of Denver. I mean, where's Denver?
Well, you know what? Remember what happened when they had that meeting earlier in the year, and they had to give every little group their equal time.
Oh
So
yes,
you had left-handers, uh, trans left-handers get the next 10 minutes to talk,
right. That's
and
exactly
then
right.
right-handed transgenders get the next 10 minutes to talk, and Native Americans who are born, I mean, it's crazy.
It's identity politics at its very worst, which is why it has never worked, and it's not working today. It's not working for them, certainly not in
No,
most circles. In some circles, yes. If you want to be, if you want to poll the history faculty at Harvard, maybe they might be say, "Oh, I understand that. Yes, it's very very important to our national identity." No, it
right.
really isn't. Uh,
Well,
I
we
mean,
have one national identity, and that is
yes,
we're Americans.
yes,
I mean,
that's
that's
right.
our national identity. That doesn't mean that you don't, like, okay, I'll take myself as an example. Yeah, we do have Cuban American celebrations or Cuban celebrations. I mean, when we have like Christmas or whatever, my mother used to make Cuban food, and there are Cuban jokes and stuff like that. But that's inside the house. I
Yes.
mean, I always understood that we were Americans, and my parents went out of their way to tell us that as well. So you can keep your identity, like your ethnic identity and stuff like that. Like here in Texas, in South Texas, for example, in Thanksgiving, the Mexican tradition is that they have, let's say, tamales
Right.
for Thanksgiving. Okay, that's great. I mean, there's
Have
nothing wrong with.
tamales.
Yeah, that's right, and there's nothing wrong with that. And the Italians would have maybe lasagna or whatever. To me, that's great. That's part of the country. But when you walk out the door and you see your neighbor, you're all Americans.
That's exactly right. That was always the idea. It wasn't always practiced, to be
Sure.
sure, that we know. But more and more over the years, it did become practiced. I mean, if somebody would say in 1960 that there would be a black American in the White House in 2008, they'd be laughed at.
Right.
But it happened.
It sure did, and I bet that the people in 1960 who were adults back then have, even cannot believe it to this day that two out of the last three nominees of the Democrat Party are African Americans,
Yes.
Obama and then Kamala Harris. So, I
Yes.
mean, at what point do you simply stop looking to the past and saying we got a bad deal when you seem to be doing okay?
That's that's the question. Look, I still maintain that there may not be a Democratic Party in 3 years. There may be a new political party. As we've said before, I'm surprised it hasn't happened already.
I am too. I am too. I am too. Because when you get into issues like this, when 100, I mean, that's 130 members of Congress, I guess, including a couple of senators, voted to support this. What that tells me, there's another 90, or maybe another 90 or so that didn't go along with this.
Yes.
So, how do those people go out to lunch and talk about this issue? I don't know. some big divisions in this party. I guess that's what I'm trying to say,
Oh,
Bill,
yeah,
over issues
big
like this.
well, that's I mean the reach is too wide in the Democratic Party. I mean there are always issues within a party. That's why we have nominating conventions and nominating uh, 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 votes. But there and every party claims to be a big tent. I've always liked that. I don't know where this tent is. Maybe it's wrapped up somewhere in Biden's garage.
Right.
But
Yeah, they put
but
it out every year. They have a
yeah,
convention.
the Big Tent party, but the tent can't be that big.
No.
There are reasonable divisions within a party and reasonable disputes within a party, but the Democratic Party divisions are too wide to be handled reasonably.
I think, Bill, there was a time, I guess the expression the big tent has always been around for a while. It's sort of a way of saying we're an inclusive party. But I bet you there was a time that if Mandani showed up, let's say at the JFK convention or LBJ convention or Hubert Humphrey or even Jimmy Carter, I think that when he had gone to the door, they would have said to him, "Oh, I see. I think you got the wrong tent. Uh, yeah, you need to go to the tent. You see where that flag is, that red
Yes,
flag
the
with the
other
hammer and sickle?
he has
That's where you need to go.
that's right.
That's the tent you belong to."
That's right. Well, we are going to have, I think, by definition, a very interesting political year. I mean, people forget the midterms
Yes,
are next year. They're
exactly a year.
almost upon us, where we select a new Congress, and the Congress can change hands. I hope it doesn't, but they could.
It
And
could, yeah.
it's the rehearsal for the presidential election in which Donald Trump cannot run. And I think, I mean, the Republican Party has a very deep bench, and the Democratic Party has no bench.
No, they just have a big tent. That's
Yes, it's very big, very, and yes, and it's a colorful tent.
a colorful tent, to
Yes,
say the least.
yes,
But here's, you're right about the elections, and who knows? The Democrats could take over the House. I mean, it's within reach. But my theory is, Bill, that if I'm a Democrat, especially a centrist Democrat, that's the last thing I want to do, because that's going to put all these head cases on TV every day.
yeah.
So,
Well,
I
uh,
mean, they're not going to be able to do anything because the Senate will stop them. So they're
yeah.
just going to be giving these crazy speeches. I mean, can you imagine Jasmine Crockett
Oh,
as,
she'll be up there.
as the committee chairman for finance?
Yes, yes, she is.
AOC will be the committee chairman for intelligence.
Well,
All
yeah,
right. I mean, that's what's going to happen. So I think that if I'm a Democrat running in 28, I'd rather run against a complete Republican government, because at least I can blame Trump and the Republicans.
yes.
But if you bring in the Democrats, then you've got them to deal with as well, Bill.
That's right. Well, I think that they're going to try to make the convention about Trump. Whether that's going to work or not, I don't know, because he'll be sitting there in the White House, watching it and probably issuing statements, and they probably are already organized at the White
Right.
House to do just that. But we don't know. No one can predict the future. We don't know what the world is going to look like next year. The conventions will be held in the summer. Um, and the Democratic convention will be held in Milwaukee, a city that most Democrats probably never heard of. And they will be carried. And then the Republican convention, where is it? Where is it going to be held next year? I forgot.
I don't know. I thought, is it Houston that they're going to hold it in, or
Uh,
I don't know where it's going to be. That's a good
I think it's
question.
going to be held in. I believe it's going to be held in Texas.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
not sure where it's going to be. You're sure that the Democrats are going to be in Milwaukee, as you said,
yes,
right?
yes,
All
and
right.
you can just imagine all the college kids from Wisconsin, which is known for this, will be coming up there and cheering AOC and
Right.
cheering Crockett and probably singing Davy Crockett songs. And
And then getting accused of identity politics if they
yes,
referred to Davy Crockett. They'll call it cultural appropriation.
yes,
But
that's right.
but what was the name of that group in the 60s, that radical SDS, right? SDS.
Students for a Democratic
Yeah, I wonder
Society.
if they're still around.
Oh, some of the graduates are, yes. Oh,
They're
some of the
teaching classes, right?
oh yes, yes. That was the SDS was the big left wing group in the Students for a Democratic Society.
That's it. That's it.
Yes, and they consisted mostly of the radical crackpots who came back into the Democratic Party, having been thrown out before, but
Right.
they felt they had a shot this time.
Well, they came back. I guess unfortunately, a lot of that is the Vietnam War
Oh,
that
sure.
probably brought them back. But there's a note from a listener, and I thought it was very interesting because I think a lot of people can relate to what she's writing. And she says, I can hardly go to lunch anymore with my liberal friends. It's sad. That is the tragic consequence
Oh, sure.
of this Trump derangement syndrome, that
Yes.
there are people that you could not have a conversation. I'm having that problem with an old friend of mine who, I mean, we've gotten to the point where it's how can you converse with people? It's almost like you don't want to be rude and hang up on them or cut them off, but they're not reaching you when they engage in this kind of I don't know messages that they're sending, like Gestapo and that kind of thing. So that is sad because when you lose friends over politics, it better be. I mean, it's one thing to lose. Like, okay, I should explain this. It's one thing to lose a friend because he's a fan of Castro. Okay, I have a problem with. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, I can understand
I've
that.
got a real problem. It's like a Jewish person losing a friend because he's a fan of Hitler. Okay, all right.
Yes.
Now there, I can understand that. But when we're talking about just politics, American politics, I just think that's extreme.
Well, I absolutely agree with you. I am looking forward to the show. I think that the Democratic National Convention will probably be the best show in town, with the exception of the Super Bowl show, uh, which is
Right.
already controversial.
That's right. Well, the next Democrat convention will be their best convention since '68. That much I think we
Oh
can
yeah. Oh well.
we can
Yes.
say that it'll be as exciting as that. A couple of more points I wanted to get into, um, Bill. A couple of other issues. This whole Epstein thing to me was an embarrassing spectacle. I mean, I guess I'm kind of glad that it's over. They got the the information out, and let's see what's in it. But it's so sad that this was even being discussed in the halls of Congress.
Well, that's
I find that
yes.
I find that ridiculous.
Well, it is ridiculous. I mean, I don't think most Americans are really that interested in Jeffrey Epstein unless there's a big name that comes out with all kinds of photographic proof with it. That could be interesting. But I know somebody who lived across the street from Epstein in New York City, and told me some stories. But he's a minor part of history. Again, unless something big comes out, and I can't imagine that if it was really that big but that famous in him, it would have leaked already.
I think so. I think it would have been on the front page of the New York Times, especially if it's Trump.
Yes,
And the story would have been people familiar with the situation have
yes,
have told us. Yeah, no, I think it's sad because there are some real victims here,
yeah. Oh, there
and,
are some
and
very
yeah,
very much so.
and I know Professor Dershowitz, who's really been on top of this. He has said many times that he was involved, I guess, representing Epstein.
I
And
think so.
he said, I've seen them all. There's nothing here. But it's judges who were holding back the information to protect
Yes,
the innocent. I mean,
yes,
they weren't protecting anybody in particular. They were just trying to protect the innocent. And
yeah.
one last issue, Bill, Saudi Arabia came to town. Pretty big investment they're making over here. I mean, lots of, I guess they're investing a lot of money. We're going to be doing some work with them on oil. I mean, it's pretty big. I don't know what it means though.
We don't know yet. I'm not one to get up in the morning and praise Saudi Arabia. I mean, their history is not one that is all that crowning
Right.
and glorious. I thought the president did not behave well with the crown prince. He was much too obsequious and much too respectful. He could have been respectful in other ways, and basically giving him a pardon for all the things he might have done in the past. That is not the kind of thing I want to hear from the American president. There's an awful lot of money changing hands, and I hope that some journalists have the intelligence and the will to follow that money and where it goes and whose pockets it goes into.
But it seems to me, and again, we're going back to this obsession with Trump that they have. It seems like they're trying to say, well, Trump is making all the money, or his family is making all the money.
Well, yeah, that's what they're claiming.
But I mean, come on. I mean, there's lots of other people doing business, because of Saudi Arabia. I mean,
Yes.
there were lots and lots of companies represented there last night at that dinner that they
Oh,
had.
yes.
And to somehow, bring the Trump family into. See, I don't understand. What is the Trump family supposed to do? Go on unemployment for 4 years while he's president?
Well, I think that I don't think people expected that of them, but they are involved financially in many of the companies and many of the nations that
That's
Trump has
true.
to deal with as president. And there are usually some arrangements made at the beginning of an administration, things held in escrow, a president, an account held for the president, in a blind trust or whatever it's called, where he is not informed about where money is being invested. I think that has been tried before. Is there a story there? I don't know. I don't think the American people particularly care unless something really big comes out, and it might. It
Well,
might.
it might if we find out tomorrow or sometime next month that you know uh, Melania Trump is all of a sudden appointed to the board of directors of
Yes.
the Saudi Arabian oil company,
Yes. That would cause a problem.
or Ivanka Trump.
Yes.
That could be a problem. Now, it wasn't necessarily in the last administration, but well, I guess it was a little bit when Hunter Biden was doing all of that. But I just think that their eagerness to blame Trump right away is what I think at least loses people like me, who I say, oh, come on. So
Yeah.
you're blaming Trump for everything again.
That's exactly right. That Trump derangement syndrome
Yeah.
carried to its highest order.
So you cannot
And
have a thoughtful conversation about Trump because they're all crazy against him.
that's right. That's
I
right.
mean, these people are mad. So, like I can sit down with somebody and disagree with something. I mean, you're like your point about Saudi Arabia and this prince or whatever. That's very good point. But you can bring that up, but that's not where they're coming from. Immediately, their questions are, well, what about your family? Come on. I mean, I just think that that's too much. It loses. I think a lot of people tune out when the media does that, Bill.
I think they do. I think they do. But I think that in general, in the next year, we're not going to find too many people tuning out generally because it's going to be so entertaining.
Well, that's true. That's true,
Yes.
but it doesn't necessarily affect him politically.
No.
That's the thing, and
You
I
got
don't
to
know. I
have
think
the evidence. You got to
well,
have the facts.
well, that's it. That's it. Well, Bill, thank you so much for your time again. And I just wanted to let you know that the owner of the New York Mets, I know that's not your favorite team, or not even your team anymore, but he said he lost $300 million last year. And I'm sitting there saying, okay, who did anybody put a gun to your head to pay somebody $1 billion to play baseball?
Yeah, that's the point. That's the point. He's still the owner of the New York Mets, although I don't know for how long. But there'll be plenty of jokes galore, especially for old Brooklyn Dodger fans.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I speak here as a baseball fan. Uh, Somebody has to sit there. When the owners and the union get together, somebody's going to have to say, hey, look, how much more do you think the fans can pay for tickets?
That's right. That's right.
I mean, because nobody seems to be talking about that part of the story.
Yes.
Everything is how much more can we get from TV? How much more can we get from advertisers? I mean, that's great. I love capitalism too. But when you have a baseball game where it's like $200 for a family to go to a game,
That's a minimum.
yes, that's crazy.
Completely crazy.
That's completely
Well,
crazy. I'm kind of I'm kind of longing for the days when I used to pay 50 cents and sit in the bleachers.
that's right.
And Bill, that's when I was in high school.
That's right.
I used to
That's
sit
right.
in the bleachers in Milwaukee when the Milwaukee Brewers were playing, and for 50 cents. I could get in, and then I guess for another dollar I could eat, and then we take the bus for a quarter or whatever, go back
That's,
home.
that's right.
I mean, it took me like $3 to go to a baseball game.
That's right. Well, I think the cost of a box seat at Ebbets Field in those days was $3.50.
Yes, I'm sure, and that was the high rent district.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
Okay.
but so I think that's my whole point, that somebody's going to have to, between the union and the play and the owners, somebody's going to have to say, you know what, people do have to buy these tickets, and do we all? I mean, do we need to make $50 million a year? Would we be just as happy with 35? I
Well,
don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
the
know.
point.
But thank you so much. I'm sure you're looking forward to the Macy's parade coming up there next week. Are they still going to have that?
I think so. I think they probably will be a Macy's parade, and there'll probably be a Donald Trump float on the Macy's parade.
I'm sure there'll be a Donald Trump float, and now with Mandani there may be a diversity float.
That's right.
A diversity float to celebrate our diversity, because they tell us that's our strength.
That's right.
That's our. Well, Bill, thank you so much. Look forward to chatting with you next week.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, Silvio.
All right. Thank you so much. Our good friend, Bill Katz, the editor of Urgent Agenda. By the way, you may have noticed on the background, I have like a little Thanksgiving backdrop there. But I can't quite figure out what those things are. I think there's an apple pie or pumpkin pie somewhere in that photo. But anyway, courtesy to the network for giving us the option of showing some holiday photos there for the background. Thank you so much for listening. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.